and he tells me that my amplifier got run over by a car, and I was like,
I don't want to get on the bandwagon. I'll burn that wagon down and join the band.
I'm gonna introduce you guys to Krankenstein and tell you the story of Krankenstein. Krankenstein is my amplifier. It is the only one that I've ever owned. And it's been so good to me over the years. We've been through a lot. It did not used to look the way that it looks now. It used to be just a regular old Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. And it has gone through an overhaul of changes to become what it is today. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love this amp so much. It's been a part of me and our Small Town Titans story. It's been on every record. It's the only thing I've ever used. And it's just, I just love it. And I want to just, show it to you guys and tell you the story about how it came to look the way that it looks. That it's a total accident, and I'm never gonna let Phil live it down, but here goes story time. Don't think I forgot about this. I moved it, give myself a better chance maybe. Oh! I need a new method for shooting this, like Monster Jam! Are you kidding me? Did it fly out?
I fell asleep into this deadly dream. I'm barely alive, or so it seems. The morning forest is as black as...
Yes, Phil.
Tell me how you really feel.
Tell me how you... I really feel like you're messing up my vlog right now.
I feel like I'm actually being featured in your vlog right now.
You are.
I feel special.
While you're here, do me a favor, because I'm actually telling the story of Krankenstein right now. Would you like to fill people in on your perspective, your side of the story here?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm completely at fault. Because I put the amp, the dual rectifier, in the garage at the place that I was living at the time. And my roommate / landlord, who really wasn't really ever at the house, ever, of all things, decided to come back to the house and ran over the amp. Ran over it. Asked her how bad it was, and she said it was pretty bad. And sent me pictures.
Destroyed.
And it was destroyed. I thought there was no hope for this thing. Yeah, so yeah, it was my dumb fault for putting it in a place where it could get run over. I mean, the chances of it happening though were really slim. But
where in the garage did you place it? Like right in the center?
No,
like where cars park?
No.
How did she hit it?
I guess she was going really fast and wasn't paying attention. I don't know. The cool thing is that it's still alive. That's even what's more amazing about that thing.
Yep, it's back to life, and it'll never die. All right, later, bro. We still to this day don't have like a real explanation on how it happened because neither of us did it. This is how I think it happened. Phil will not admit to this, but this is how I think it happened. So I think Phil, he put it in the garage, and I think lackadaisically went in there and just sat it down in the middle of the garage because nobody parked there because he didn't park there. It was his roommate's house, and she was never home. A day later, she decides to come home. Wham! Just hits that thing, but see that black part right there? That is metal. That's a steel box that houses all of the brains and the electronics of it. All this stuff in here, these tubes, they all shattered, and these preamps all shattered, but the metal box itself was still intact. I was like, I wonder if I plug this thing in, if that red light on that amp's gonna turn on. I wonder. Plug it in. It started to hiss at me, but it was on. And I was like, yeah! So I took it to an amplifier store and I showed him what had happened. It was dented and a little mangled. And he was like, well, I think if you get all new tubes and all new preamps and put them in there, I think it might work. And I was like, really? So I got all of those and I just installed them myself, because it's pretty much just like, there's the tube holder and you take the tube and go, that's it. You put them in. It was just a steel box with these tubes sticking out of it. So I plugged it in, I turned it on, I plugged my guitar in, and there was my tone. It was there. Like, my guitar tone that I've used forever was back. I was like, that's crazy. Like, my guitar amp is alive. It's alive. It died, came back to life. But it had its own new twang and its own new, like, sound. Like, it didn't sound just like a regular Mesa dual rectifier, because, like, the regular ones haven't been run over by a car, you know? So it had its own little unique sound, and I just grew to love it. And that is where the sound of our band comes from, this thing. So I was like, I'm gonna build a housing around it. We had the idea, I wanted to, like, it died, I wanted to bring it back into life, and I wanted to call it Krankenstein. So we went with the whole Frankenstein theme. And these bolts here are just pipe fittings that are purely cosmetic. I got the chain, I got the custom carved front, and you know, this angle irons just bolted on there. Like, I wanted it to look rustic, because like, that's what Frankenstein is. Like, you just a dead thing that is living again. That's what my amp is. So when I was done, I took a soldering, not a soldering iron, a solder. A Dremel, that's what it's called. It's called a Dremel. And I carved Krankenstein into the front here, and then I took a stain and I stained the whole thing, and then I got a darker stain to fill in the letters. And it ended up turning out really cool, and I love it. I thought this whole time that Krankenstein was an original name thought up by Ben Giles, because I played through a crank cabinet. I didn't know that the company Crank had an amplifier called Krankenstein. Like, I didn't know that until after this was done and people started telling me, and I was like... But anyway, Krankenstein is still just... that it is what it is. Whether it's been named by somebody else before me or whatever, I don't care. Like, this is my amp, I love it, it's on all of our recordings. Like, this powers the guitar sound of our band. So that is the story of Krankenstein. Died many times, but it got revived, and here it is, and that's my story.
Send me with this gold.